Hey, everybody. Your pal Tom here on the Tom Gulley Show. Tonight, let me tell you about the still unsolved disappearance of Tiffany Daniels in 2013 in Pensacola, Florida. It, like most of these tales of people that are still missing, is fraught with details and inexplicable occurrences, and we will cover all of them tonight. Of course, this is our cold open that we do for our audio podcast listeners. It allows people to file in to our live interactive YouTube chat room. They get a notification, they go get a beverage, they get settled in, and that takes a few minutes. And during that time, I have to play a couple songs, just to vamp until top of the hour when the show officially starts. So if you are listening in audio podcast form and you don't want to hear these songs, which would be, in my opinion, a grave mistake because they're really good. One of them, I had to bring in the Tom Gulley Show orchestra for. You ready, guys? Yeah, they're ready. They're ready. And that one doesn't even have my name in them. It's the rest of the songs have my name in it, a lot. The second one I'll play, which is much shorter, of course, does have my name in it. That makes me really happy. But that's what we're doing. And we do it at the beginning of every show. And I worry. I worry about everything regarding this show. And one of the things I worry about is that the audio podcast people will get here and they'll hear some songs and they'll say, I don't have time for this, and who does, and what's this guy doing? And it's fine. Just fast forward through it. And if you're listening on demand or watching on demand on YouTube, nobody's going to be mad about anything. We don't judge here. We're not judgmental. And why do we do every Thursday a program on a missing person? I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. It's because somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. And if we can do these shows, there's at least a statistical chance that we can dislodge some information that will help locate these people. And that's why we do it. But right now, here's a couple of quick songs. It's only going to take, 6 minutes. And then, let me tell you about the disappearance of Tiffany Daniels.
They said the night was crowded, too many voices in the room. Some burn bright for a moment, some fade out far too soon. I've watched the doors swing open, I felt them close just as fast. You learn to mind your footing on a floor made out of glass. I've been counted out, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. When the lights go out and I play that song, I'm still on. I've had nights full of promise, I've had days that wouldn't end. Some chase the sound of thunder, some wait for trends to bend. I've seen the door swing wide open, I've seen them slam just as fast. You learn to move with some caution on a surface built to cry. Talk about the past, let them say it doesn't last. I don't need the wind forever. I just need to run one more mile, one more honest soul. I've been counting up, I've been counting wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. Tom Gulley's here. G-U-L-L-E-Y. He's here to stay. G-U-L-L-E-Y. The Gulley guarantee. That's what the people need. We're all here to see Tom Gulley. G-U-L-L-E-Y. G-U-L-L-E-Y. Tom Gulley's here. G-U-L-L-E-Y. He's here to stay. The lights are low, so start the show. Tom's here to go, so let it roll.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking? I don't know if the stream got interrupted here, but it was interrupted on my end. I don't know if somebody in the chat can tell me right now whether it's been interrupted or not, but at any rate, what's hot? What's hip? What's happening? Let me tell you about the disappearance in 2013 of Tiffany Daniels from the Pensacola, Florida area. It's a story full of twists and turns, and we will cover the entire thing very shortly here. That's if we're even on the air. Thank you, Spectrum, for that always sketchy, Let's see. Yes, it was interrupted. Well, that's just great. That's just great. It's probably one of their planned maintenances that they plan and then they don't say anything to anybody about it. You know, they don't involve me in the plan. They're famous for that. Hey, do me a favor before we get started too quickly here. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those absolutely free things you can do. They only cost you a click, and they help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. And we need that very desperately, trust me. Also, we have super chats, memberships, gifted memberships. We're running dangerously close to not making our monthly Google threshold, so that'd be appreciated. If you go to our YouTube description, you'll see all sorts of links to all sorts of great stuff, including the PayPal, where you give the most, I get the most. Google doesn't get anything. You can go to the TomGulleyShow.com. Our merchandise store is there, and you can get something really stylish with our logo on it. I should also mention that I have put the link to the hashtag Help Find Tiffany Facebook page in our YouTube description. So you can go there and get a lot of other background information about this case. Chef is here with Mikey Cooper and the chef, of course, in the kitchen there at Geraldine's in Indianapolis. Geraldine's Supper Club and Lounge, the premier dining choice in Indianapolis, Indiana. And yes, chef tells me it was interrupted. That really cheeses me. Crappy at Life is happy to be here, and we are happy to have you. Crappy at Life. We are thrilled to have you. Let me tell you about the disappearance of Tiffany Daniels. And it is quite a tale. On August 12th, 2013, at 4:43 p.m., Tiffany Daniels, a 25-year-old theater technician at Pensacola State College in Pensacola, Florida, left work after telling her supervisor she wouldn't be returning for a few days, but she didn't explain why. She briefly returned home afterwards, but her housemate, and we'll get into the housemate situation, who happened to be on the phone, did not see her. Tiffany Daniels hasn't been seen since. Now, for a little background, Tiffany, a native of the Dallas area, hey now, let's go Dallas. That's where I live. She was born on March 11th, 1988, and distinguished herself in high school through her interest in art and her outgoing personality. Her family, who described her as free-spirited, say she could often lift the mood of those around her simply with her presence. She enjoyed painting and eventually took a job at the Pensacola State College Theater in Pensacola, Florida, where she painted the background sets. While she wasn't at work, Tiffany took advantage of Pensacola's cultural and natural attractions. In the city's downtown, near her job, she often organized and attended blues and swing dance parties. From her house, a short distance from the Bob Sykes Bridge to Santa Rosa Island in the Gulf of Mexico, she often went hiking or biking in the dunes there. A pescatarian, she had 4 tattooed images atop her feet showing a plant's growth and blooming. Now, despite her apparent satisfaction with her life, Tiffany had financial problems. Her parents said by the summer of 2013, they had noticed she had a pattern of paying the rent for a series of housemates who were either not responsible enough or didn't care or were unable to pay their share of the rent. In July of that year, after another roommate had moved out, she advertised on Craigslist for a new roommate. Gary Nichols, the 54-year-old father of one of her friends who was separating from his wife and wanted to live closer to his job, answered Tiffany's ad and moved in. Tiffany's parents were uneasy about her sharing living quarters with a man more than twice her age, but he was able to pay his share of the bills, and the two had similar interests. Gary Nichols, too, liked biking and followed a similar diet. Now, as to the disappearance. On August 11th, Tiffany started the day with a farewell breakfast for her boyfriend who had been accepted into the graduate robotics program at the University of Texas in Austin. That's the big campus. You might as well just say University of Texas. Go Horns. He had encouraged her to move there with him, but she didn't want to do that, at least not at that time. Tiffany's friends said that while she still loved him and wanted to continue the relationship, to the point of making plans to visit him later in Austin, she wasn't ready to move from Pensacola yet. After the farewell breakfast, he left. Gary Nichols recalls that she was slightly depressed for the rest of the day, but as you might be if your boyfriend had just left, but that was tempered with enthusiasm for that later visit to Austin, a town her friends believed she could easily adapt to, and having spent quite a bit of time in Austin, it is the perfect place for artistic, free-spirited people. It's the epicenter. Tiffany and the theater department were scheduled to start preparing sets for a production of Spamalot that fall. That night, she and Gary Nichols decided to watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the film on which the musical Spamalot is based. And they're doing so for inspiration and relaxation, after which the two went to their respective bedrooms as they both had to work the next morning. At 5 a.m., Gary Nichols recalled that he heard the door to the house open and close several times. He looked outside from his room thinking it might be Tiffany, but he didn't see her. When Gary Nichols got up later and left for work around 7 a.m., Tiffany's car, a gray Toyota 4Runner, was gone. He assumed she also had gone to work. Her parents, however, say it was unusual for her to get up early. In situations where she had to, she would usually only leave right before the time that she had to be wherever it was. And I know she's not alone there. You've all had friends or acquaintances that are the exact same way. I had a longtime girlfriend that, man, she would burn every second before she went somewhere. So that's not unusual. Gene Genie is in the chat room, says, "Hey, Mr. Gulley," and all the Gulley heads. Hello to you, Gene. Good to see you. Tiffany arrived at work on schedule for the beginning of her shift painting those sets, and she asked her supervisor if she could leave a little early that day and also let him know that she would be taking some time off, possibly the entire week. But she didn't explain why, other than things she had to take care of. He said okay, and she punched out at 4:43 p.m. as she left the theater. No one has reported seeing her since. Now that evening, Gary Nichols grew concerned that he had not seen Tiffany. Well, this is nice. This is great. Oh, here we go. He grew concerned that Tiffany hadn't returned home by 10 p.m., and she didn't return his calls. He called his daughter, Noelle, who told him not to worry as Tiffany was an adult and she might want to hang out with friends closer to her age. He said, "You know what, you're right," and he went to bed. Gary attempted again to call Tiffany when she had not returned by the next morning. He made attempts to call, but he couldn't reach her, and that evening he returned and found that the electricity to the house had been turned off. He assumed that his housemaid had failed to pay her share and again called his daughter to inform her that Tiffany still had not returned. This time, Gary suggested that Noelle get in touch with Tiffany's parents, which she did via a private Facebook message. Noelle and Tiffany's mother, Cindy, soon began working through the extensive list of Tiffany's friends that they knew of. None had seen her all week either. They all assumed that if she was anywhere, she was visiting other people she knew, all of whom Cindy and Noelle had already called. Meanwhile, Tiffany still had not turned up, and by the end of the week, they realized it was time to call the police and report her missing. Tiffany's mother, Cindy, initially went to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, which seemed to her to be dismissive of the case. They took the information she gave them, but seemed to believe that her daughter had gone out partying and would soon turn up of her own accord. And again, this is a consistently occurring theme in the missing person cases that we cover here. It's that the police at first don't take it seriously. They perhaps are inundated with missing person reports, and it just always turns out to be nothing. Who knows? But again, it's the case here. However, because Tiffany had been living in the city of Pensacola and was last seen there, the sheriff's office referred the case to the city's police department, who Cindy regarded as showing much more interest in the case, and good on them. I just don't understand how you couldn't start from the position of worst case scenario. It just seems like the logical thing to do to me, but how do I know? Detective Daniel Harnett met Cindy at Tiffany's house and searched it. He found no signs of foul play, and Tiffany's tent was still in her room, which she might take if she was camping on the dunes or any number of other things. Harnett realized that if she had decided to leave town, she was not going camping. When Detective Harnett learned that Tiffany's boyfriend had left Pensacola the day before, he began exploring that angle, which makes sense. The boyfriend had called Tiffany upon his arrival in Austin on the 11th, but not at all on the 12th. He was cooperative and provided fingerprints and DNA samples, and his cell phone record shows that he had indeed been in the Austin area all weekend, suggesting he had not secretly returned to Pensacola. The detective also considered that perhaps Tiffany had been depressed over his departure. Tiffany's sister later told the television program Disappeared that Tiffany had seemed a little less vivacious than usual earlier in 2013. But she had plans for the immediate future. Besides the trip to Austin, she had planned to dance in 2 weeks' time. It did not seem like she had harmed herself or started a new life somewhere else. The investigation did, however, find that at some point after her early departure from work at 4:43, when she punched out, Daniels returned to the house briefly. Gary Nichols was present at the time and talking on the phone with his own girlfriend out of state, but doesn't recall her having been there. Tiffany's mother, Cindy, is skeptical that he could have missed that she was there due to an open space between the top of her closet wall and Nichols' statement that he had heard the front door opening and closing in the morning, but police do believe his account and do not consider him to have engaged in any wrongdoing, noting he was the first person to raise concern about Tiffany's whereabouts, which, I mean, if the police have searched this and they say he's not the guy, there may be other factors involved, but one of the best ways to cover your tracks is to be the first person that reports someone missing. In any case, over the first weekend after Tiffany disappeared, the case was publicized. The news media reported on it, and her friends and family distributed flyers on the street and posted them everywhere. Early the next week, it produced the first evidence related to her disappearance. A jogger, who also happened to be a friend of Tiffany's family, recognized Tiffany's 4Runner in a parking lot at Park West in Pensacola Beach near Fort Pickens at the western end of Santa Rosa Island on August 20th, 8 days after she'd last been seen. She had often gone hiking in the nearby dunes of Gulf Islands National Seashore. Despite her mother's warnings not to go on the beach alone, Cindy, Tiffany's mother, says the car's discovery there suggested to her something terrible had happened to her daughter. Within it were Tiffany's bicycle, her cell phone, her purse with wallet, some clothes, paintings, a jug of water, and a jar of peanut butter. After the car was towed to the police garage for examination, investigators found 2 fingerprints, one on the door handle and the other on the steering wheel, that couldn't be matched to Tiffany or any of the investigators who had worked on the car. A resident of a nearby condominium said the car had definitely not been there until 2 days earlier. 2 other residents said they had seen a man getting out of the car earlier that day. To establish when the car had been driven to the island, Detective Harnett examined security camera footage from the toll booths at the Bob Sykes Bridge, the only road connection between Pensacola and the island. They showed that the 4Runner had passed through the tolls at 7:51 p.m. on the evening Tiffany had disappeared. Although it couldn't be determined from the footage if she was driving the car, which remains in the police impound lot, its contents intact, in case new information comes to light that might be relevant. But the question still remained as to whether anyone had seen anything or anyone might have left the car in the parking lot where it was found. 2 large residential complexes serving the island's summer vacation population are just adjacent to the parking lot, and it was possible someone there might have seen something. Friends and family, again, circulated flyers in the area. but found no leads. At the police garage, investigators found sand on the bicycle tires, but none on the car's floorboards. This suggested to Detective Harnett the possibility that if Daniels had gone for a bike ride on the beach that evening, she might have decided to go for a swim afterwards. And a friend of hers noted that the Perseid meteor shower was happening at the time, which he said was the sort of thing Tiffany might have decided she wanted to watch on the beach. If she had, it was possible that maybe she drowned. However, no bodies were found on shore, and the detective says it's usually common for them to wash up. It was also possible that Tiffany had met with foul play or an accident somewhere on land. However, there was no way to be sure. Santa Rosa Island is 50 miles long, and the police didn't have enough manpower to search even its beaches, much less the dunes, which are thickly vegetated in some areas. The weekend after the car was found, the Kloss Kids, a volunteer organization, founded in the wake of the Polly Kloss case, in coordination with local police and the U.S. National Park Service, which has jurisdiction over the national seashore, searched much of the island with humans and search dogs. A few fragments of clothing and pieces of jewelry were found, but they didn't belong to Tiffany. With all searches and investigative procedures in Pensacola exhausted, no further physical evidence was likely. Tiffany's friends and family set up a Facebook page to further the search and found themselves busy sorting through the many tips that initially poured in. Incidentally, a link to that Facebook page is in our YouTube description, and it's also in our audio podcast descriptions. One of the tips was from a convenience store clerk who claimed to have seen her several days after she'd last been seen. And it seemed credible at first, as he recalled her foot tattoos. However, the store's security camera footage for that day failed to corroborate that story. Several months after Tiffany's disappearance, in January of 2014, the Facebook page yielded what her parents considered a more credible report of a later sighting. A woman who worked as a waitress at a restaurant in Metairie, Louisiana, just outside New Orleans, reported that shortly after the disappearance, she had seen a woman matching Daniels' description come in with two other women, one roughly the same age and the other older, possibly Latina, and that woman was more nicely dressed. The younger women behaved strangely, both wearing long-sleeved shirts despite the warm weather, with cuffs pulled over their hands, never looking the waitress in the eye. They seemed to let the older woman do the talking for the group. When the waitress told one of the younger women she looked like that woman who had been reported missing in Florida, the group got up and left. Unfortunately, the restaurant's security cameras had been taped over since the date of the encounter, and thus it was impossible to find any documentary confirmation of the waitress's story. Tiffany's parents strongly believed that this was Tiffany, and they believed that for two reasons. First was that putting her sleeves over her hands was something Tiffany frequently did when she was cold. And second, the waitress recalled that the woman who resembled Tiffany had, when looking over the soups on the menu, asked whether one of them used a fish or chicken broth. Remember, Tiffany's a pescatarian. She'll eat fish, but not any other meat. Tiffany's mother, Cindy, recalled a similar incident when she'd been eating out with her daughter and the restaurant had substituted chicken broth in Tiffany's soup since it had run out of fish broth, a difference Tiffany could taste due to her pescatarian diet, and this was something she normally avoided. The Daniels family began to fear that Tiffany had not been found because she had somehow left Pensacola during that week between the last sighting and the beginning of the search, and that she had not left voluntarily. They began researching human trafficking as a possible explanation. They saw possible similarities between Tiffany's unsolved case and that of another woman who had recently been drugged and abducted from nearby Panama City and taken to New Orleans by two men who told her she was to work as a lady of the evening. While traffickers prefer to target women in their late teens, according to experts, they will occasionally attempt to abduct women closer to Tiffany's age, and her parents believed she would have been trusting enough to fall for whatever pretext they used to approach their daughter. Interstate 10, which runs east and west along the bottom part of the country from New Orleans all the way to Florida, passing through Pensacola and New Orleans, has been described as one of the major trafficking routes in the United States. Detective Harnett, however, says he had found no evidence to support the trafficking story, although he qualifies that by saying police haven't ruled anything out at this point. On the second anniversary of Tiffany's disappearance in 2015, the anniversary led to two developments in the case. The Investigation Discovery cable network decided to revive its series Disappeared, which profiles missing person cases, and Tiffany's case was one of those chosen. A crew from Investigation Discovery went to Pensacola, filmed locations associated with the case, and created reenactments and interviewed Detective Harnett. They interviewed Tiffany's parents and her sister and some of her friends who had helped with the investigation. And that episode aired in April of 2016, 10 years ago. Before the episode aired, the first new evidence in the case since the original investigation surfaced. In December of 2015, the Daniels family and the police disclosed that in the wake of coverage of the case's second anniversary 4 months earlier, a citizen had come forward and told police that on the day Tiffany's car was discovered, they had seen a man in his 30s wearing red shorts and no shirt opening up the car's tailgate, a report consistent with the two witnesses who said they saw a man leave the car after it was parked there. The witnesses remembered this because the car had been parked unusually, facing oncoming traffic in an area reserved for wildlife. Around the 10th anniversary of Tiffany's disappearance, a mural depicting her and calling attention to the case was painted on Pensacola's graffiti bridge. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have to tell you about the still unsolved, still mysterious case of the disappearance of Tiffany Daniels. Again, if you go to our YouTube description or our audio podcast description, the link to the Facebook page for hashtag Help Find Tiffany, which I believe is administered by Tiffany's family, and it is regularly updated. It has not gone dormant. You can learn a lot more about this case. It's puzzling. It seems to me that somewhere it would make sense, independent of the parents' belief that she's been sold into white slavery, or human trafficking. Perhaps the route to that was Tiffany taking her car to the beach, being abducted there, and then that car returned to the parking lot on the other side of the bridge. Or is it on the same side? No, it's on the same side. There's no other evidence of anything else. Making it more mysterious is her telling her boss that she wasn't going to be back for a week. Now, that could just be a young person's wanderlust and their boyfriend just left and they want to get out and live life a little bit. But it adds a little to either the confusion or the uncertainty of the case, in my opinion. Also, her returning home, Gary Nichols not hearing her, is a little odd, whether he's just not that observant or she was being deliberately more quiet than usual. Who knows? Perhaps she wanted some time away due to that unpaid electric bill. Perhaps her finances were getting the better of her. What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat or tell me in the comments of either our YouTube program or our audio podcast. Coach Mike Rodick is here. He says hello to all my friends in chat. Oh, hey, Tom. Hello, Coach Mike Rodick. And as we always say, somebody knows something. Man, my hair is messed up. I didn't realize that. There, now it's perfect again. Somebody knows something. I know that at the beginning of this show, my stream was interrupted. And I think we all know how painful that can be. Coming up this weekend in the afternoon on the Tom Gulley Show, 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, we will cover the history of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. That's going to be a long show. There's a lot to cover, let me tell you. And then on Sunday, you don't want to miss this one. We will be covering the television show, The Twilight Zone. Yes. In the cloud of fog between illusion and reality, that the whole thing, comes The Twilight Zone. And that's all I got for this evening. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those absolutely free things you can do to help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. We'd appreciate it. We need it desperately. We were on such a trajectory, and now we're just back in the... It's awful. It's awful. We do have super chats. We do have memberships. We do have gifted memberships. And... such. So, unless there's any burning requests or suggestions from the chat room, we will prepare to shut this baby down. We're going to shut her down. We're going to shut her down, kids. That's what we're going to do. Going to shut her down. I haven't even planned next week's shows yet. That's how lazy I am. Coach Mike Rodick says we might be entering the Twilight Zone. No, we will definitely be entering the Twilight Zone. The things that I know about the Twilight Zone, and I downloaded still images from about 20 shows, and I did it in a way that they're not high res enough. So I will be probably tomorrow redoing that. Because if there's one thing I love to do, it's do work over. And also I have to listen to the beginning of the show now because the stream got interrupted. If the stream got interrupted and it's just like a blip, like it's a jump cut, it's like if the guy's singing and he's like, they said the room was too crowded, and then it starts like immediately to another part of the song, I won't mess with it. But if there's a big gap of 30 seconds of dead air, then I got to download the audio and chop that out, and that won't make me happy at all. Not at all. But we do these missing person shows because somebody knows something. And if you guys, the thing that you can do more than anything, not that you're dying to think of ways to help me out, is to share the shows. And you don't have to share this one. Go back to one you really, really liked and share it amongst your friends. I know there's one or two people that follow the show that don't have any friends, and I'm their only friend, and that's fine. What I'm here for. But the majority of you are quite popular. Extremely popular. Loved by, men, women, and children alike. Universally worshipped by all those who come into contact with you. I know this about you. So just share it. Let's go ahead and share it. Coach Mike Rodick. You're a coach. You got to know thousands of people. Hey, I'm here and I can hear you. Well, no, it was earlier, Coach. It was during like the opening of the show time. Oh. And it really chapped my wagon. It really singed my drawers. It really burned my bacon. I used to have a guy that when I was living in Atlanta, Guido Samurai liked and shared. You are a guy. When I lived in Atlanta, I played for this really super high-level soccer team. And I was... Oh, you mean about the friendless? Okay. I was dating this girl. Well, I was in a major big-time relationship with her. And she was a great gal, don't get me wrong. And so this team was sponsored by Guinness, the beer company. And they sponsored us with a lot of money. We had like a lighted practice field and the whole 9 yards. It was big. And we would all meet at a pub that was owned by Guinness called Fido in Atlanta in the Buckhead area after every game. And so all the team would go there and all the girlfriends would go there and we'd have an amazing time, a wonderful time. Because we usually won. We always won. We were really good. And she came, my girlfriend came to one of those. She was the belle of the ball. We had a just fabulous time. She, I could tell, had a great time. And so fast forward to, we have this big game. Big game. And I, unwittingly, as the goalkeeper, turned out to be the hero of the game. I won't get into the details, but trust me, I was the hero of the game. So much so that, as you know, I don't drink, but after a big competitive soccer match, I might have one Guinness just to take the edge off. And I went up to the bar right when I got in, because everybody was in this back room that we always had reserved. And the Guinness taps were set up by the brewmaster of Guinness, and it was just, when you get a Guinness that's properly done, it's... Anyway, I asked for a Guinness. The guy brings it over. He puts the shamrock in the foam, the whole 9 yards. And I reach for my wallet to pay the guy. And of course, all the wait staff and stuff were Irish or some UK extraction. And he said, "Oh, your money's no good here today, lad." So he had heard that I was the hero of the game. But before that, I had gone home, jumped in the shower, and told the love of my life, "Hey, you won't believe it. I was the hero of the game. Come to the thing. You can hear everybody else tell it, because they will." And they did. And she had this worst excuse of all time to not go. Absolutely worst excuse of all time. I'm not going to get into it because it's messy and unrewarding and hurtful. And I was not pleased because I had just previously gone away with her and her family to a week-long event that, trust me, I did not enjoy and I did not have a good time. But you know what? I went to it and I put on a happy face and I participated and I was a good sport. And nobody could tell at that event for a week. And it was with her family too, so we couldn't cohabitate, but nobody at that event could tell that I wasn't just having the time of my life. I was helpful. "Hey, can I get you a chair? I was a prince. I was a prince. So that's the long way of me getting you to the point where I tell you about the guy that sort of ran this team, a British guy. And I'm sitting there and the thing's winding down, okay? We've been there for 3 or 4 hours and everybody's celebrating because it was a big game that decided the championship of Atlanta. And we're all sitting there. And one of them asked where my lady is. "Where's so-and-so? She's great. Where is she? Why isn't she here?" I'm like, And then I told him the story that I just told you. I would imagine they were only slightly more interested than you are. And this guy said, "Did she burn your eggs again, Tom? Did she burn your eggs? Did she burn your eggs, Tom?" And he just kept saying it over and over again. Excuse me, which I thought was hilarious. And in the same respect, YouTube screwing up my stream burned my eggs. Burned my eggs. I'm sorry, they burned my eggs. We've had technical errors in the last 2 shows. Now look, this show may not be any good. And it may not meet any of the goals that I personally have for it. And you yourself might be going, "You're telling me, buddy." But at least it's usually technically perfect. If we don't make the end of the month goal for incoming revenue, that I might have to take a hiatus. Ringling Brothers, Saturday, 3 Eastern, Sunday at 3 Eastern, The Twilight Zone, which we will cover in detail. And there's a really kind of a very justified reason that The Twilight Zone even got made. It has to do with Rod Serling and the TV networks. Because Rod Serling was a incredible dramatic writer of teleplays and things like that. And he became dissatisfied for a very good reason. And that's why The Twilight Zone came up. I'll tell you a little nibble here too. At one point, Rod Serling, who had extremely high standards for the scripts for The Twilight Zone. And why wouldn't he? He had some of the most famous science fiction writer. Ray Bradbury wrote one. And, you know, really high standards for the scripts. But he thought that regular people probably could come up with just as great of ideas. So he made an announcement and opened it up. If you've got a script or an idea, send it to us. Send it to us. I think he considered 3 of them and none of them got made. After picking through the thousands and thousands. Guido Samurai says, I can't wait for the Twilight Zone episode. I have way too many favorite episodes to even pick my favorite. Well, I'll tell you this. We have had, as a guest on this show, someone who appeared on the Twilight Zone. What do you think about that? And I didn't even ask him about it, to be honest with you. I don't like asking people questions that I know they've been asked a million times before. I don't like to do that. Maybe once in an interview I'll do that, just to sort of appease people that are listening, but I don't like to do it at all. I only like to ask them questions no one else has or will ask them. We had Ruta Lee on this show, and Ruta appeared in an episode called A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain. Pretty good episode, but they're all pretty good. Guido Samurai says, get them back. Who was it? I have so many questions. Well, the person that I booked her through is a really great press agent I'm in somewhat frequent contact with, and that interview it'll be a year in May. And it might be too soon, but I think maybe the next time I talk to him, I will try to book Ruta again and do it sometime in May. She has a big event that she does every May 30th. She does that because May 30th is her birthday. And it also happens to be my birthday. So I share a birthday with the lovely and talented, and I think she'll be 91 this year, Ruta Lee. And you couldn't tell it. She's a pistol. She's a firecracker. So anyway, that's all I got. You guys don't have anything else. I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says it's time for me to amscray and then go back and listen to tonight's episode and see how screwed up it is. Thanks, Spectrum. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. By the way, we do accept emails at tom@thetomgulley.com or our Facebook page or comments on YouTube. If you've got an idea for the show, if you've got a suggestion for the show, if you just want to say bad things to me, those are the places to do it. Or say, gosh, Tom, I can't get enough of your show. Me and the girls at my sewing club listen to it. I don't know. Is the Tom Gulley Show orchestra still ready over there? You guys ready? You still ready? What about you? All right. We've got the Tom Gulley Show orchestra still ready. Oh, wait. I think I am going to use the Tom Gulley Show orchestra. I got another song here that's the Tom Gulley Show Average White Band. So I think the Tom Gulley Show orchestra would be better for the outro of tonight's program. Also because this is more Ruta Lee-like, I think. I'd love if Ruta could sing this song. She still sings and does all that other stuff. She's very Very awesome, Rudalee. And she asked me to marry her right at the top of the show. And I would. Guido Samurai says, have a great night, Tom. You guys all have a great night. And I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys are the best. We were on such a hot streak of shows. And this week has just been a real kick in the cannolis. Yeah. However, this song I'm about to play, which is the only song of the Tom Gulley Show song library that doesn't have my name in it. It just describes me. It's describing me. This song will address the highs and the lows of doing an online streaming program with obscure, esoteric content and topics. And with all that being said, you guys are the best. Thank you for being here. The streak's coming back. Have faith. Yeah, have faith. You know what? Faith and $5 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's what. I'd rather have success than faith. But anyway, with all that being said, till next time, we'll see you next time.
They said the night was crowded, too many voices in the room. Some burn bright for a moment, some fade out far too soon. I've watched the doors swing open, I felt them close just as fast. You learn to mind your footing on a floor made out of glass. I've been counted out, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. When the lights go out and I play that song, I'm still on. I've had nights full of promise, I've had days that wouldn't end. Some chase the sound of thunder, some wait for trends to bend. I've seen the door swing wide open, I've seen them slam just as fast. You learn to move with some caution on a surface built to crash. Talk about the past, let them say it doesn't last.